everyone, welcome back. In this video, I want to share some of the things that I've learned in this past year of reading, writing, of studying history, of studying literature, and of teaching the same. I've learned so much this year, and I've been so greatly blessed, and I'm just excited to share some of the lessons that I've learned. First, I want to just reflect on what this year has been for me. So this time last year, I was in a very dark place. I was working a job I wasn't at all passionate about. I was dealing with physical and mental health issues. At one point, I literally was convinced that I was dying, and I was really grappling with that idea. I had no real reason to believe I was, but that's what it felt like. And so the spiritual journey that I went on as a result of that was intense. Yeah, and I was also newly married, newly moved into a new place, and just struggling with kind of those changes and that transition into real adulthood. It wasn't an easy time for me, and I remember dreaming of and praying for the very life that I have now, exactly 1 year later. And that reality just blows my mind and just fills me with gratitude to God for how gracious He's been to me in this past year. So I went from working a job that I didn't hate but didn't love and did not see myself doing long term. My heart just wasn't in it. There was no passion, there was no excitement, there was no challenge. To a door opened up at a school that I've had my eyes on for years for a position that I wanted, teaching history and literature to the upper school, to high school age kids. It opened up, I applied, and I got the job. God also gave me the courage to apply to the University of Edinburgh to their master's program in history, and by His grace I got accepted to that too. And this all happened around the same time, where suddenly I was going to be a part-time master's student and a part-time teacher of history and literature, the things that I love. And that turnaround was just so unbelievable and incredible. And I am just so grateful to be in this position now where I am studying part-time and teaching part-time. And every day of my life is full of the riches of art, of great literature, of great books, of studying the wonders of the past, of grappling with big ideas and the philosophical questions of life. This is part of what I do now, and I'm just so unbelievably grateful for that opportunity. God has also greatly blessed my creative endeavors this past year. I finally was able to finish a novel that I had been working on for years. I wrote another novella. I wrote a family history. I've started on 2 new novels. I've written a multitude of short stories. And I've also been able to find an outlet here on YouTube to talk about the things that I love and meet so many people who share my love and passion. And that's just been incredible. I am so grateful for how my channel has grown in the past year. You know, when I started, I didn't tell anyone in my life, thinking, oh, when I have 1,000 subscribers, I'll tell people about it and I'll celebrate this. The idea of having that many people coming alongside me and supporting me was unfathomable. Now, here I am with almost 3,500 subscribers, and every time I post a video, I get to engage with you guys and hear back from you how much you also love the literature that I love and value the kind of lifestyle that I live. And it's just been so encouraging. I'm so grateful to have you all here, to be able to talk to you about the things that really matter to me. It's incredible. God's also really blessed my first year of marriage. He's blessed my friendships, our relationships with our families and our church family. And I just feel surrounded by people that I love, people who love me and support me. And so that's also been a blessing. I can honestly say that my life is full of hope, it's full of peace, it's full of beauty, it's full of joy. And I couldn't have imagined that a year ago. Not that I didn't recognize my blessings, but I couldn't fully appreciate them because of where I was emotionally and mentally. And now that I can, I am just like, what has God done with my life? It's incredible what He's done, and I haven't deserved a single bit of it. I haven't been a good Christian. I struggle to read my Bible. I don't always say or do or think what's right, and yet God still chooses to pour out blessings on me, to pour out grace on me. And for that, I'm so grateful. And so I just wanted to share all of that with you as a testament to the glory and goodness and mercy of God, because none of this was me. I didn't fix my life. I didn't make it what it is. God did. And I want to encourage you, if you're in a dark place this winter, to turn to God, to cast all your cares on Him, because He does care. He will change your life. That is my first kind of takeaway and encouragement to you as we wrap up 2024, as we head into 2025. And Another major lesson that I've learned this year is that every book counts. And what I mean by that is I've read about 70, give or take, books this year. I think by the end of the year it'll be more than 70. And this isn't necessarily realistic for the rest of my life. I mean, maybe I read 50 books a year for the rest of my life. I'm 23, say I live another 60 or 70 years by God's grace. Somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 books that I might read in the rest of my life, which does seem like a lot. But that's if I can even keep up with the 50 a year, which probably will change. You can't read every book out there. You can't read every book that you want to read. You could create a TBR of 5,000 and not come close to finishing that in your life. That just encourages me to be really intentional about what I read. If I'm going to pick up a book, I want it to be a book that's going to make me think, that's going to challenge me, that's going to encourage me. I want it to be a book full of truth, goodness, and beauty, that reflects the truth about reality, that reflects the truth about God. I don't want to read books just for the sake of being entertained or passing the time, but to grow intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, culturally. And so I want to carefully curate my TBR reads and think about the fact that every book that you read is, in a sense, one less book that you will be able to read. You're one book closer to reaching the limit of books that you will ever read in your life. I'm not trying to be morbid, but I just think that's an important perspective to have, right? Like, make the most of this time that you have with your mind where you can read excellent books. And of course, the most excellent book is the Holy Bible, the scriptures, and I recommend that to everyone. That doesn't mean that it's the only good book. It's not the only book from which we can glean truth and witness beauty and goodness and see God through. And so I hope to just keep those criteria in mind going forward. Read books that have been tried and tested by time. To read books that will lead to truth, that will lead to God, that will please God. And I also want to write those kinds of books. Yeah, I'm kind of starting to just ramble here, but however old you are, at whatever stage in life you are, and even if we're young and just beginning our lives, we don't know how much time we have, right? So make the most of what you read in the time that you're given, in the present, right now. Think, what can I read that is edifying, that is true, that is good, that is beautiful, that will enhance my short stay on this planet, that will enable me to see reality clearly, and that will give me hope for the future. Alright, so the second major thing I learned about reading this year was that reading aloud is so incredibly fun and helpful for getting the most out of a book. I read aloud to my husband all the time. Whenever we're driving somewhere, I'm reading, he's listening, and then we're able to stop and talk about things. And the same when I'm teaching, I'm always reading aloud to my students, letting them read too here and there, of course, but mostly it's me reading aloud, stopping to ask questions and clarify things and having a discussion around the book. But the act of actually reading a sentence out loud, maybe it's just because I'm a verbal processor and I never realized that. I never thought I was a verbal processor, but I do find I get so much more out of a book when I'm saying it. I mean, all these words are going through an extra step in the process of reading, in a sense, right? If you're just reading a book to yourself, it's all up here. When you're reading out loud, it's up here, but it's also out here, and it's almost like double the impact is what I'm realizing. I pick up so much more. I understand a work better because I spoke it. I said it out loud. And of course, it also helps when you're reading it to someone who you can discuss it with. That's just been a phenomenal experience this year, and I'm so glad that reading aloud is such a huge part of my life now, that I do it every single day. I do it for lighter reads like the Anne of Green Gables series, and I do it for tougher reads like Plato's Republic and Beowulf. And so I'm just picking up and learning so much every day as I go, and it's just been awesome. So I highly recommend trying that. You don't need to be a teacher, you don't need to be married to do this. I mean, you can read aloud to yourself if you can feel comfortable doing that, or find a friend or a sibling and just try it. Find out whether it will enhance your overall experience and your overall understanding of a work. Another thing I've learned this year is to read widely and diversely. Read a wide range of genres, styles, time periods, authors. So I started this year with the goal of making this the year of Dostoevsky, where I was going to read all of his literature, really focus on him and other Russian writers. And I just couldn't sustain that for a long time. Not because I don't appreciate Dostoevsky, I don't appreciate his voice in literature, but I just got bored, and I can't just be listening to one person all the time and only having one voice kind of speak into my life. Yeah, I don't have that attention span too. I couldn't stick to that schedule and that plan, and I just craved reading other authors and different types of literature. Like, I went from Dostoevsky to Lucy Maud Montgomery and read all the Anna Green Gables books, and those are very, very different, but just as valuable in their own right. Going forward, I don't think I'm gonna do another year of challenge where I try to focus on just one author. I don't think it's possible for me. Some people might have that laser sharp focus where they can do that. For me, I just couldn't. I needed to read more. I needed more voices speaking into my life. And so I have big plans for 2025 and a variety of different authors that I want to focus on, and a big TBR list for next year that I'm excited to share in an upcoming video. But for now, I'll just say that I've learned from this experience of trying to confine myself to one type of literature and one author, and I do see the value in it because I just wanted to know everything I could about Dostoevsky. I wanted to know his heart, his soul. I wanted to recognize his voice. I wanted to figure him out, and that's a good goal. But it kind of lost its joy, and I kind of lost my excitement for that task by overwhelming myself with him, in a sense, if that makes sense. Yeah, I just recommend that you challenge yourself to read many different things. And I've been thinking about this a lot in the context of writing as well. My writing immediately becomes dark and gritty and realistic. I write just kind of realism, very character focused, very philosophical writing. Yeah, I don't even know how, but my writing tends to get kind of dark and sad and melancholy. And so I've been wanting to write more like children's stories, wholesome, happy fairy tales, fantasy. Not that these stories can't have anything dark, can't have the presence of evil in them, but overall, to just be brighter, more positive, more beautiful, more whimsical, to be the Peter Pan that will stick with a child forever, and such great nostalgia will be attached to that book because of just how beautiful and whimsical. And yeah, I've been wanting to write that kind of work instead of what I typically write, and it's hard to train yourself to do new things when you naturally lean towards a certain genre or a certain style of writing or certain themes. But I think that's how you grow as a writer. Challenging yourself, believing that you can do more than what you've been doing, and just trying things out. That sort of sums up my third lesson. I hope that makes sense. I'm very much just going on a tangent here and just rambling a little bit. The final lesson that I want to share is that humility is the key to survival, success, everything, and specifically intellectual humility. And that's something that I've struggled with at different points in my life, thinking that, oh, I'm so smart, I read a lot, I study a lot, I understand a lot of things, I get good grades, yeah, I've just got it going for me. That is truly a fatal flaw. That kind of hubris is not going to serve you well in the long run. And I've had to learn that lesson over and over again. I've had to learn it the hard way. And this year, starting a master's program after a year out of post-secondary school, getting back into the groove of academic writing, academic research, it wasn't an easy transition. And I found that doing a BA in history is very different from doing a master's degree in history. There has just been a lot to learn. And it's just been a semester of me figuring things out and not always knowing what I was doing and not being sure whether I was doing things correctly or on the right track, and just having to do my best and submit my work and learn from my mistakes. Yeah, to be clear, I haven't actually gotten feedback on my final assignments yet, but I'm really anxious about getting those grades back because I just don't know how I'm gonna do. I felt pretty good about my final essays, but again, learning to write a master's level essay, focusing on producing my own analysis and interpretation of primary sources, examining other historiography but not using that to support my arguments, placing my own argument within the historiography and trying to distinguish myself from other historians, really focusing on a specific methodology. That's all been new and just way more intense than it was for my BA. And I haven't mastered those skills yet. I can't do them perfectly, and I don't think that the essays that I submitted this semester were the best work that I can do or were, perfect master's level productions. I'm sure that I will get critical feedback and that I'll have made mistakes and that I could have improved in many areas. As hard as that might be for me to swallow, if I get a grade that I'm not happy with or proud of, I need that feedback to learn and to actually get better and to deserve the good grade. And I don't want to get a good grade just to feel good if I don't actually deserve it, because then at the end of the day, what's the point? I'm just deceiving myself. And so, yeah, I've had to learn to be truthful with myself, honest with myself, to recognize my own flaws and inabilities and struggles, and to be okay with being a flawed person and a work in progress, a lifelong learner, and somebody who's going to mess up and fail sometimes, who's not always going to understand everything the first time around or at first try, and I'm not going to be the best, I'm not always going to be the smartest person in the room. I've learned that, and I'm still learning that, and it's hard, but it's good, because there's nothing more freeing than realizing that you don't have to hold yourself up to that standard of needing to understand and know everything perfectly right away, or always being the smartest, most intelligent person in the room, or always having something super intelligent to say. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. That's a high standard to have for yourself, and it's good to shoot for that and aim for that, as long as you're okay with yourself when you don't get there. And that's been a hard, ongoing thing that I've been learning. And again, like, here I am on YouTube, and I talk about books, and it may look like I speak with authority and with expertise, but I don't. I'm a learner, I'm a reader, I'm a curious person, I'm in love with beauty, I'm in love with books, but that doesn't mean that my understanding and my love of them is perfect, or that I'm an expert, that I'm the most well-read person in the world. Like, absolutely not. So I think just growing in humility is going to be an ongoing challenge for me, but probably the most important thing that I ever do, and the most important lesson that I learn in life, and really the peace and the contentedness it brings at the end of the day, to just recognize that you're not God and you don't need to be, that you're just a flawed person doing the best you can. That's just been enhancing my experience in life, and I hope it will continue to do so. And if you struggle with these things, I hope that you can begin that journey as well. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Please comment if you can relate to any of this, or if you learned anything in this video. Thank you so much for being here, for your ongoing support of me and my channel. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I just wish you a relaxing, peaceful week, and I will see you again in the next video.